All right, well, Mark, we got the verdict in after 2 days of deliberations, and were you caught by surprise by what happened here?
Well, it's a real difficult question. It's a hard question, and what's clear is that the jurors thought real hard about it. They had some pretty strong opinions both ways, and the jurors stuck to their opinions, feelings about the case, and simply couldn't reach a unanimous verdict.
Do you think the judge maybe could? I know he sent them in the first time they came out, indicated they were deadlocked. He sent them back in, I think, for another hour or two. Do you think he maybe should have sent them back in the room, or was the sense that they were totally deadlocked?
My understanding is that there was a pretty good sense initially that they were deadlocked, that they had discussed this and that they were deadlocked, and the judge urged them to go back and try a little bit more and just see if they couldn't reach consensus. They did review a little bit more of evidence, but ultimately came back within about 2 hours and said, we're not gonna make a unanimous decision here.
I don't know if the judge did like a poll to find out how many members of the jury were either for or against the conviction. Do we know at this point, or?
I don't know what the judge.
All it really takes is one person to hold out,
right? And what the judge did say, ask them all to I guess confirm that in fact that they all believed that they were deadlocked. That not only did the foreman have to assert that, but the judge asked the entire panel, kind of en masse, do you all believe that you're deadlocked, that you're not going to reach an agreement? And they all agreed.
But we don't know how many were in favor of a conviction, and
No, we don't
how many
know.
weren't.
We don't know.
You kind of wonder if there was one, there would be 11 other jurors putting a lot of pressure on that one
Right.
person. But if there's more than one, now
Right.
it's like, well,
Yeah, I don't know, and obviously that's the kind of question we'd like to know, but that really gets into the sanctity of the jury room, and it's one of those things we're gonna think about and process as we go forward.
all right. The judge set a hearing for next month to essentially figure out where do you go from here. Any, I know it's early; it's
Right.
not even 24 hours yet. But any thoughts?
Well, effectively, we're back to where we were before the trial started. I mean, we're back in that pre-trial status, and so the judge basically put it on for a pre-trial hearing, at which point, if we're going to go forward with the trial, they'll get it scheduled, and if there's going to be some other changes in the procedural posture, that'll be discussed also. It is early though. It's too early for us to have a chance to sit and debrief about it and think about how the evidence came in. So that's what we need to do in the next couple of weeks.
Is there a chance you could include perhaps a lesser charge,
There's all
if
sorts
that's
of
possible?
yeah, there's all sorts of things we could do. We've felt very strongly that we had the appropriate charge, that it absolutely fit. The second degree unintentional murder is exactly what we believe happened out there. We certainly could go back now that we've laid out all the testimony, and we could go back and say, well, maybe there's more charges or different charges. I don't know. That's part of what we need to sit down and think about.
The jury asked to review the video. I think there are two videos
Right.
of I don't know if it showed the actual incident, but it certainly showed the people involved and the vehicles involved. And I'm just wondering if they were struggling with what, the defense was concentrating on how Mr. Weiss was fearful. He even testified. He was
Right.
petrified in his
Yeah.
words. But then your prosecutor was also pointing out that Mr. Weiss was actually inside his car, or 60% of his body was inside the
Right.
car. Why didn't he just get in that car, lock the door, or just drive off? And you just wonder, is that what the jury struggled with? Just trying to debate,
Yeah.
was he fearful of these two, or?
The whole question of the trial came down to that whole self-defense thing, and certainly the law says in self-defense you have this duty to retreat, and you have the ability to use force, the same amount of force that's being used against you, or force to fend off some sort of a significant assault that could harm or kill somebody. but you first have that duty to retreat. And so I think that's what we tried to lay out, was that, in fact, the evidence would show that he did not actually attempt to retreat first, that he did have some space that he could have gone to, and as you said, at some point he did retreat. He did retreat to his car, and he came back out, with his gun. So, like I said, it's a really difficult question. It's a really challenging issue for the jurors to think about. Obviously, for a number of years, there's been a lot of conversation about the use of weapons all over the United States, and so it was hard. And I think the hung jury, I think that demonstrates how hard it really was.
Okay, so we should know within what, maybe a week or two, what your intentions are, or will you just wait till the hearing, or what are you thinking?
You know, we need to, frankly, it was a 6-day trial. Eric needs a couple of days to just
And the judge needs some time off to
process.
get his voice back.
The judge needs to get his voice back. But we'll probably sit down and start talking about it in earnest next week. And I don't know if we're going to announce any particular decision, because the case is pending in status, ready for trial again at this point. So absent some changes, I don't think there's going to be anything forthcoming in the next couple of weeks anyway.
Okay, we'll look for that. Thank you, Mark.
All right, very good, thanks.